Hi everyone, it's Diana here from Contigo Wellness. I'm here with a super special guest, Dr. Elise Sanchez, and she is a licensed clinical psychologist and educator with experience teaching at the community college, graduate level, and California Department of Corrections and Rehabilitation. Dr. Sanchez has worked in an acute psychiatric hospital treating people with severe mental illness as well as community-based mental health. She provides coaching, mentoring, and consultation regarding life transitions, education, sexuality, love, friendships, identity, mental health, diversity, equity, and inclusion. So we are super excited to have her here, and she's going to chat a little more with you about stigma in the Latinx community. So here she is. Hi, Dr. Sanchez.
Hi, thank you for having me. Yes, the topic of stigma, it's not even just in the Latinx community. I feel like just in general in society, we're still not to the place where mental health is openly talked about. Like it really should be like you go to the doctor when you have a cold or you're not feeling well, something's going on. That's how mental health should be openly discussed, in my opinion.
Right.
It should really just be like, things aren't going so well in my life. I have some hiccups or some stuff I want to work out. Life transitions, like you mentioned in my bio, that's why that's so important. But also when things are going well, like you want to become a better communicator, you want to have deeper, more meaningful relationships, you want to work on your personal growth and development. Like all of those are other great reasons to go to therapy. And I feel like we just don't acknowledge that yet, and it's really not openly talked about, and it should be.
Right.
So as far as stigma, I think a lot of it in the Latinx community really comes from like culture, religion, like family upbringing. Like I hear it a lot working with clients, and I know for myself personally, it was similar. Things are very private. Things that happen in the house stay in the house. You work it out with family, you work it out together. I don't need to go talk to a stranger. I have, my priest or my tia, my tío, and, my cousins. And so it's very much seen as a tight-knit community. Everybody's very family oriented. And, it's common to go to your family for opinions or advice or suggestions when you're making big decisions and, difficult things come up for you, or when good things are happening, you want to share, your success and things like that. So I think that's why it's not seen as like something of value. But that's really what my role is, as that was part of my mission when I became a psychologist, was to help people heal and grow in whatever capacity. Right. And in the community. And that's why I always do things like this, because I'm like, I know a lot of people aren't going to be able to get a degree in psychology or take a psychology class or maybe go to a conference or even read a book, because we have so much stuff going on in our lives that the only way I can connect with people is in platforms like this. So like social media and, free resources. Some people don't have access to insurance to go to therapy, which is really unfortunate and like a whole other topic to discuss. But I also work for Los Angeles County Department of Mental Health, and I work with a lot of families that have open DCFS cases. So working with families that are involved with the Child Family Services program. And so educating them as well and talking about the stigma and trying to encourage them to try therapy out, because we all need it. I think everyone can benefit from having therapy at any point in their life. And so if we just start acknowledging these stigmas and talking more openly about them, I think that will be how we can gradually change this narrative that we don't need therapy. We have all we need in our family. So that's one stigma that I know that's common that really comes up. Mm-hmm. Another big one is religion. So if you're religious or spiritual, then it's like, well, I pray, I have faith, I know things will get better, like God will protect, or the spirit, creator will provide. And yes, that's true. But the Bible also tells us we have to do the work as well, right? We can't just, I want $1 million and expect $1 million to just show up on our doorstep one day. We have to take action too, or acknowledge the people that are coming into our lives. Like I'm very much about like things happen for a reason. And so if I come in contact with someone and they're happening to talk about therapy, like that puts a little seed in my mind that maybe I should consider therapy, or maybe I should think about that. And because I definitely did think about that coming into this field. Like, what if people don't come to me? What if I don't have clients because no one wants to get therapy? But I think we have come a far way, not as far as I'd like us to be, but we have made some progress where people are now more openly talking about struggles with mental health and addiction and things like that, or wanting to go to therapy for certain things. But yeah, religion can only take us so far. Like, we still need to be active and involved in our lives, and we have to start somewhere. So therapy is a good place to start.
Yeah. You mentioned earlier that you worked with parents. Do you find that you're working with a lot of first timers in therapy?
Oh yes, especially involved with Department of Child Family Services.
Mm-hmm.
They have an open case with the department now. And so a lot of times I'm really advocating for them because they feel forced to go. And so they're like, Senora, like, what do I do? I don't know, you know, and I kind of have to explain how the system works, and it needs to be fixed desperately, but just kind of what the process is, and, you know, what to expect in therapy, and letting them know the best you can do is just take your kid, have them assessed, and if the therapist doesn't think they can benefit, then you did your part and you fulfilled what the court was asking you to do.
Right.
But most of the time, they will find something, because just being involved with the system like that in itself can be traumatic for a lot of people. You have social workers coming to your house and interviewing you, asking you these personal questions. And so a lot of things, I think, too, in our culture, like, we're very resilient and we're strong and we're fighters, and those are great qualities. But I feel like we have this idea that we need to, like, suffer in silence, like, be mentally tough, you know, just keep going, you know, and it's at times, I think, can do a disservice to us, where we feel like it's weak to ask for help. It's weak to be vulnerable, to show our feelings and our emotions.
Mm-hmm.
But no, it's what makes us human. Like, we all have these feelings, and we just really don't talk about it enough, because once you do, that's when you make the connection, when someone else can be like, oh my gosh, me too. I thought I was the only person that felt like that.
Right.
So yeah, the stigma is really what we need to change and address, and it starts with just openly talking about it, bringing more awareness. It just really starts with us. I think being curious, just having that question. So that's why I'd encourage people, just give it a try. If you don't like it, and I'll add this, because what I do let people know is it's a relationship. You're not going to go one time and feel better. You're not going to go once and feel comfortable even sharing things with this person. And I let people know that, like, yes, you're going to do the assessment. They are going to ask you a lot of personal questions to get, like, your background, your family history, and things like that. Mm-hmm. But it is your session. You don't have the right to answer. You can say, I mean, you don't have to answer. You have the right to say no. You can say, like, I'm not comfortable going there yet, like, maybe after a few sessions, or, you know, things like that. So that's what I also let people know, that therapy is really great at, like, teaching you to advocate for yourself, like, teaching you those things. Like, it's okay to say no when you don't want to do something. You feel anxious and uncomfortable when someone tells you to do something. That's your body telling you, like, stop. Something's not okay, and I need to figure out what it is. Mm-hmm. But we tend to we want to be helpful, so we say yes, or we, you know, agree when we really don't agree. And then later we're like, why am I upset at that? I should have said no. Or so therapy is great at helping us process all of that stuff too. Right. And get us to the place where we can advocate for ourselves and say, you know, I'm not ready to talk about that yet. Mm-hmm. So I do like to let people know that, like, be prepared to, it's going to take some time. And if you don't feel a connection with that therapist after a while, or you feel like you're not being heard or being seen and they're not listening to you, then it's totally okay to terminate and find a different therapist. Because you need to feel comfortable if you're going to share things with this person that you've probably never told anybody before. Right.
Yeah, so, that's so important. I'm glad you brought that up.
Yeah, so a lot of people don't think about that. And then I always say, like, if there was a magic pill, trust me, like, I would have taken it already. Like, if there was a quick fix or a magic wand that we could wave and you're all healed and everything's great. But no, it takes time and it's a process. And I want people to know that going into it. Even with medication, if people are open to medication, like, people expect, oh, I'm going to start taking these pills and I'm not going to be depressed anymore. I'm not going to be anxious. But no, it takes like 4 to 6 weeks for most pills to even, you know, start working in your body. Right. So yeah, just letting people know. And it does get worse before it gets better a lot of the times, because you're talking about things that you haven't really uncovered in a long time or even acknowledged in a long time. Important too to have expectations that are realistic when you go into it. And then for me personally, I'll just briefly share that it was the same thing for me. Like I mentioned, growing up very private, like, you know, you talk about things with your family or with your friends. And um, I think it was in high school when I had a really good therapist that really pushed me, because I went to therapy once before that and I didn't talk about anything. It was really like, how was your week? What did you do at school? And
Yeah.
but when I went in high school, my eyes were really opened. And I remember one thing that always stuck with me, and I use that when I talk to clients too, is they told me like culture, religion, like your family values, your traditions, all of that is great when it's working for you. But when it's not, then you reevaluate them and pick and choose. What do you want to keep? And what do you want to adjust? Or what do you want to get rid of because it's no longer serving you? And I remember like my mind being blown and being like, oh my gosh, you can do that? Like you can, that's it. I can just choose to not do these things anymore and you're going to help me do it. So that was like a big revelation for me. And ever since then, I never looked back. And I actually prefer to go to therapy when things are going well in my life.
Mm-hmm.
I have gone when things are, you know, tough and I need some help, but I really like going when like, hey, I feel really good. Things are really working out, because I feel like then I have the capacity to really dig deeper and I just see what comes up. And trust me, stuff will always come up. So
Right.
it never is a wrong or bad time to try therapy for the first time.
Right. Right. Yeah, and I always tell clients too, like it's that you get out of it what you put in, right? And if you
Exactly,
don't
yes.
want to do some of the work, then it makes it a little more challenging.
Yes, thank you for bringing that up. Yes. So yeah, like my style in therapy, I really like let the client lead in the beginning and just kind of take it at their pace, you know, let them get adjusted. We kind of just get to know each other. But once we have that relationship, then I'm really going to push you gently and in a way that, you know, is coming from a place of caring and concern. But I know, like for me, same thing, like I mentioned, I wouldn't talk about anything if you were just like, so how was your week? What do you want to talk about today? So yes, definitely what you put in, because the first time I went, I didn't get anything out of it because I didn't talk about anything. I didn't share anything. I acted like everything was fine, but that's the one person you don't want to lie to. Like you're paying your time and money with this person, spending time once a week or however often, and you might as well get something out of it. So just talking and you'll feel it, you'll know. And if you have a good therapist, they'll make you dig a little deeper when they see that you're starting to get there. You know, and encourage you to stay with that feeling and before you try to change the subject, because that's what we've been used to doing.
Right.
Just if I feel uncomfortable, nope, make it stop. I don't want to do it.
Yeah.
And we're not going to ever grow if we're staying in our comfort zone. So therapy really forces you out of that space.
Yes. Yes. All
Yes.
right.
So
Well, thank you. So is there anything else that you want to bring up?
I think just to empower people, like feel free to reach out to me if you have nowhere to go wherever you live and have no idea where to find a therapist. But a good place to start, I'll say, is like with your county. Like look up your county, like for people, Los Angeles County Department of Mental Health, or like San Bernardino County Department of Behavioral Health, or even just like a basic Google search, like low cost therapy in whatever city or free therapy in whatever city. And things will start coming up because almost every area has some kind of resource. You just have to find it. And unfortunately, you don't know what you don't know. So I would encourage people to just kind of explore. But if you get stuck or you're totally overwhelmed, like feel free to reach out to me, or this is a great resource, Contigo, like I'm sure we'll have information for you too. But it really just starts with like that first step, just asking for help or being just curious and wondering what it's like, what it's about,
Right.
to get your feet wet, so to speak, and kind of see what it's like and see how it could benefit you.
Yes, such great information. I really love that you talked about, just Googling what to even search for in Google, right?
Yeah.
So I think that that's so important. Again, creating that awareness. So thank you so much for your time today, Dr. Sanchez.
Awesome. Thank you for
You
having me.
are amazing. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right, bye-bye.
Okay, bye.